Well, I think uh, the most important thing is going to be, at least the way we're looking at it in Mars, is to create a structure, an operational construct that can absorb the variability that comes with this evolving landscape, right? So I think that's going to be critical because it's going to be difficult to shift strategy or operational constraints every time there's a new development. So I think that's going to be probably the most important thing for us as we kind of dive into this. Obviously, other than making sure that we have the right talent, making sure that we are pursuing the right use cases and getting the organization ready in terms of adoption and implementation.
Sriram?
Yeah, so I think organizations that are looking to embark, right? Uh, my suggestion would be maybe a two-pronged approach, wherein one part of it is these organizations have to do a lot of experiments, right? So you have to experiment with several models, experiments with different types of use cases. So how do you sort of build that understanding of where it's working given your context, right? So do lots of experiments. So that's one part. But as you're doing that, how do we also have a strategy around GenAI? This is a very rapidly evolving field. The newer models that are emerging, newer applications that are emerging, some of these capabilities are getting embedded in enterprise software. So what should you be doing? Is it, should you be buying something? Should you be building something? How fast should you go? Should you really wait and watch for how it evolves over a period of time, right? Having a thoughtful approach, having a strategy around what should you be doing is also a parallel thing, because eventually you'll need to start figuring out as an organization, after the initial pilots, where do we go from here, right? So kind of having both would be what I would suggest if anybody is looking to get started with Gen AI sort of roadmap right now.
So in short, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the function, you have no choice to start thinking about it. Rohan?
Yeah, so I think what was mentioned is really great so far. And to just add on to that, I think the data preparation piece is very important, and not just in terms of making sure you have the available data, but understanding what types of data you might need to drive your application. And that's going to tie into the architecture thoughts that you need to think about with this. But certainly kind of having that very adaptive approach, because it may be that you start with an approach that is primarily oriented towards using something like retrieval augmented generation, but that ends up not working, and you need to shift to an approach that maybe uses more fine tuning as its core function. So I think that's an important part. Then also the need to identify use cases that are core or peripheral. So we've seen a lot of folks wanting to build what amounts to, in the old days, it would be like building a word processor for your organization, which you would never do, from the late 90s onwards. That's basically what some of these applications amount to that people are trying to build. So look to your third-party providers and partners that are incorporating generative AI capabilities that can supplement what you're doing internally, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. And of course, I think, move quickly on this and be prepared to iterate quickly, and also don't neglect predictive AI as well.